Welcome back to the EO Wonder podcast. I'm Kalika Yap. I'm an entrepreneur, author, mom, and your host. And you know that I really love bringing conversations with founders who are not only building businesses, but also building businesses that matter. And today's guest is doing exactly that. Erin Fletter is the founder and CEO of Sticky Fingers Cooking. She started this business with just $5,000 at her kitchen table, literally. And today, Sticky Fingers Cooking has taught over 175,000 kids across the country. She's teaching them how to cook, how to explore flavors, and also how to build confidence in the kitchen. But here's where it gets even more inspiring. Erin's business isn't just about teaching kids to cook. It's also about empowering women entrepreneurs. Through her franchise model, over 80% of her franchise owners are women, and they're building thriving businesses in their own communities. She's blended profit and purpose in a way that's creating real impact. And for those of you who might not be familiar, this is what we call a social enterprise. It's a business that's designed to do two things at the same time: generate profit and create a positive impact. And it's not charity, it's a business with purpose baked in. And Erin's company, Sticky Fingers Cooking, is doing just that. And Erin is also one of us. She's an EO Colorado member, and today she's going to share the how and the why, how she's built a social enterprise from scratch, why franchising became her path to scale, how she balances marriage, motherhood, and multiple businesses, and why, after nearly 30 years in food, she's still passionate today as when she got started. Erin, welcome to the EO Wonder podcast.
Hi, Kalika. It's so great to be here.
So let's start from the very beginning. I love that your business literally started at your kitchen table. Take us back.
It did. It was back in 2011, and we just had our third child. It didn't make sense for me to go back to the wine importing business. I was a manager at a wine importing business. My husband is a restaurateur working at night. And so I found myself at home with our three daughters. And during that time, I was introduced through my own kids with after school enrichment. It was something that I didn't have growing up. And for those of you that are unfamiliar, it's when kids stay after school and they try something new. They get to try a new activity, whether it's art or language or a sport. And I just fell in love with the model. I really saw it from three different perspectives: the perspective of the child, that they can freely be curious about something new and try something new without declaring that they're going to be the next chess champion or the next soccer star, whatever it might be, that they can freely try new things. It's a no-brainer for us working parents. You don't have to go and drive and shuttle across town. And then I put my entrepreneur hat on. I've started multiple businesses over the years. And I thought, wow, to have a business outlet in every school in my community, that could be really a powerful model. So that's really where it started. So yes, $5,000 from my kitchen table, and with the help from my husband and my father, and just went from there.
I also love your tagline, time to turn up the beat on what kids eat. It's so fun. How did you come up with that tagline?
Well, we love food puns. Like everything is a food pun. If your business is hard, starting a business from scratch is really hard. And if you can't have fun and laugh along the way, why bother? And of course, we're an education company that is an enrichment company, meaning that kids choose to take our classes. We want to make it fun. We want to make it engaging. So we use a lot of taglines in everything that we do. And it just really ties together the fact that cooking is an essential life skill. It is something that is necessary, it's needed, it's empowering, it's foundational. You can teach literally anything through cooking. It's the original STEAM model where you can learn science and technology and art and languages, and I mean just literally everything. So it just time to turn up the beat on what kids eat just felt perfectly aligned with it. Our other tagline is cultivating culinary curiosity in kids.
You also figured out how to run these cooking classes without kitchens, right? Is that right? How did you make that work?
Yeah. So, Lika, I've always been very, very creative. And I find myself to be the most creative when there's a lot of constraints and there's a lot of no's. So that's where I find that I shine because I love thinking out of the box. I love bending rules. And so, yes, conventional wisdom would think that you would need a kitchen to cook. And I knew that there would be a lot of red tape if we were going into lots of different schools, and that the only way that we could run this program was to use school facilities. I knew it would be a problem. So I reimagined how a cooking class would go. And I do need to emphasize that we teach children to cook as young as 4 and as old as 18. So pre-K all the way to seniors in high school. And it needed to be flexible. I am a huge advocate. I wanted kids to be able to make everything from scratch. So the kids make everything from scratch in an hour-long class. And I created what we call a cooking kit. And it has 3 plug-in appliances. It has child-safe, school-approved knives for kids to use, cutting boards, mixing bowls, all of that. And the kids make everything from scratch. We have written over 3,000 recipes, 90% all based in global cuisine. And the kids make everything from scratch without using a kitchen. So we cook in libraries, we cook in hallways, we cook in classrooms, we cook anywhere that there's a sink and an outlet and a table.
So is that where your $5,000 went in developing these kits?
Not really.
Oh,
I mean, a little bit of it. The equipment is not very expensive. The $5,000 really went towards getting the website started just so people could understand what we were doing. A lot of cold calls, a lot of going into schools. I'm based here in Denver, and I mean, it's just the typical entrepreneur story that I know that all of the EO members they'll definitely resonate with. I believe I knocked on about 100 doors, and I had 97 no's. You're nuts, you're crazy. What is this? Who teaches children how to cook? But I had 3 yeses, and that's all I needed. So the 3 yeses turned into 30 new schools, turned into 300 schools. We then organically grew into 3 states as a privately held company for well over a decade. So the $5,000 was really just seed money to get going, and every penny earned has really gone back into building the business to what it is today.
so you were really scrappy. Is that important for business owners or entrepreneurs to be?
So scrappy. Yes. First of all, we had to be scrappy. It was at the time we didn't have access to a lot of funds. And so it was something that I needed to be by necessity. I needed to be scrappy. And then, yes, I believe looking back, I wouldn't change a thing. Of course, I've had countless sleepless nights, lots of stress. And at the same time, the scrappiness leads to grit. Without passion, you can't have grit, and it just keeps you going. And again, it goes back to that creativity. It goes back to that drive. How are we going to get to the next step? What is the next step? What are our goals? What do we want to do?
What are some of the kids' favorite recipes to cook?
Oh, I love so what honestly, well, they love, of course, the sweet recipes, strawberries, shortcakes, crepes, all sorts of different cakes, things like that. I was in a cooking class today at a local cooking school where we have summer camps, and they were making Swedish chocolate cakes with strawberry shakes and homemade whipped cream. So the kids will always, if you ask the kids, they'll always say the sweet recipes. And we have a ratio. We do one sweet recipe to 3 savory recipes. If you ask me what the most successful recipes are, they're the ones that get kids and frankly, our chef instructors a little worried, like Ethiopian wat stew with injera bread.
Wow.
Thing that we're making in 1 hour. Lentils are always something that kids are like, a lot of American children they've never had a lentil. Universally, mushrooms have kids I don't know what it is in our culture that mushrooms are not kid food. So one of our most successful recipes is a Thai mushroom lettuce wrap where all the kids are pretty certain that this is not something that they're going to like, and they're asking for third, fourth, fifth of the recipes. So we really push the envelope. We don't ever cook. We don't ever talk down to children. All food is kid food, and they get to learn the world through food, and they also get to discover new things. We love picky eaters for this reason, because if they make it, they try it.
So good. Was it bigger mission of empowering women part of your plan from the very beginning, or did that come as Sticky Fingers grew?
I think that's just a part of who I am. It's in my DNA. Being a woman myself, and being a business owner and business leader myself, I naturally gravitated towards my executive team. We're all women. We've been working together for the greater part of the decade, building this together. And then if you look at our data, you can't do, we're very data driven. And so if you look at our data, you'll see that of the, now we've taught well over 200,000 kids how to. And if you look at all of the registrations, it's like 96% of the registrations, the parents are women, are mothers that sign their children up. We've had hundreds of chef instructors over the years that have worked with us, and well over 90 of them are women as well. I've always really been attuned to the discrepancies between male business owners and female business owners. And so yes, that has always been a highlight. And that's really what led us to the franchise model ultimately.
And franchising is really super corporate, but it works for you. Why do you think it works for you, and why did you choose franchising?
Yeah, it was really through the pandemic. The pandemic was horrible for the whole world. It was devastating to us. And of course, like I'm an eternal optimist. So we definitely made lemonade out of lemons. And what it gave us a moment to really kind of look and reflect and look at and take a breath, and to look back and see everything that we had built at that time. It was to over 10 years. And we we know that what we do is so important. Teaching kids how to cook, giving them essential life skills. They get so excited about new foods. They go home to their parents. Then parents and kids are cooking at home. They're sitting around the dinner table. I mean, there's just infinite number of positive reverberations that go into cooking. And so during COVID, we had to just like organically grown ourselves. We knew that we could organically grow and continue to have employees, continue to put in a management team in different states and different cities like we had been doing in the past. But then I started looking at the statistics of women business ownership in the US, and I had really never done it. I mean, I kind of like knew top level, but I didn't know the data. And I was horrified. I was absolutely horrified. I mean, Kalika, as women, we are over 50% of the population of the US. We're about 52% of the US population. We own about 41% of businesses. That seems like okay. Then you dive even deeper with that number. Less than 2% of female run and owned businesses gross over $1 million a year.
Wow.
Wow. I could not believe that. Then if you pair that with the lack of funding opportunities, then you bring in women of color, and then you bring in military veterans. I mean, I could just go on and on and on, but I had just those numbers staring at me. And these weren't COVID numbers. These are pre-COVID numbers. This is historic data. And I was horrified. And I thought, look, we have done everything. We're also a tech company. We we have our systems airtight. This if we could spread sticky fingers cooking, which we know is so important, we give back to schools, we do all of these amazing things. And then if you can also create female business owners along the way, that sounded like a win-win to me. And I fully embrace embrace the win-win in every way possible. So we started franchising in May of 2023, so about 25 months ago, and we are in 10 states. We have 14 open territories. And we're doing just that. Over 40% of our franchise owner are people of color, 80% are women, and over 15% are military veterans as well. So we're just hoping to continue that. And as a business owner, being a business owner, you care so much about your own business. And I thought, who else to bring Sticky Fingers Cooking to their communities but business owners?
And it's complicated to do franchising. Isn't there like this complicated like franchise document that you have to put together, a franchise disclosure document or something like that?
You nailed it. That's exactly it. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yes. So before we launched our franchise brand, it took us about 2 years to work with top advisors in the country, the top attorneys, really honing everything in to make sure that we were ready to launch. But yes, the FDD, the franchise disclosure document, it is. They don't teach franchising when you get your MBA. It's not in the business school, which is shocking to me. It's one of the most highly regulated business models that out there. It's right up there with publicly traded companies. What I love about franchising, and the more that my team and I are in franchising, we fall in love with it every day. It is 110% the right decision for us, because the franchise model, when done correctly, it is a relationship. It is a relationship. It's a completely symbiotic relationship. So we cannot be successful as a Sticky Fingers Cooking brand or headquarters without successful franchisees. So their success is our success, and our success is their success. So it's completely it's this infinite loop. And this is something that was how Sticky Fingers Cooking, the foundation 14 years ago. This is how we built this business, purely on relationships. We're a service-based company baked with hospitality through and through. So, and as women, again, going back to the DNA, it's in our DNA to have good communication, as good as possible, and also to support each other. So for us, we're not looking back. It's just been phenomenal. And to see our franchise owners, after a year or two of business ownership, and their lives, their personal lives, their family lives, they are transformed. These are single parents. These are military veterans. They're pillars in their community now, giving back to the school, but then to the schools that they work with, but then providing for their families in ways that they didn't think possible.
We had an EO dine around in my house a couple of weeks ago, and two of the entrepreneurs were talking about franchising. One of them had a boba shop franchise that completely tanked. And the other one, I guess his brother was part of Dave's Hot Chicken, which is like one of the fastest growing franchises. So it's so interesting to say, it's for you to say that it's a relationship, because it's right, 50% of relationship end up in divorce or something, right? It's a relationship. It's relationship intelligence for it to be successful.
And I love that you said marriage, because we say it all the time. And actually, we get to set our franchise terms, and ours is 7 years, because that is the average length of a marriage. And so after 7 years, we can renew our vows or we can part ways. So exactly. I mean, we lean fully into this relationship. So we vet our franchise owners tremendously, making sure that they'll be a good cultural fit, that they have business acumen, and all of the above. So this week, we were just training our brand new franchise owner, Sticky Fingers Cooking New York City. So it's just so exciting.
And I think what's interesting about franchising is because there's a lot of people who want to be in business, but they just don't have the ideas. You have all the ideas, you have all the fun cooking puns, you have the branding. And so it makes sense that they want to be able to have a model for them to potentially be successful, because as we all know, most businesses end either in the first or second year of business. Isn't that right?
That's absolutely right. And going back to the data, I love this statistic, which as entrepreneurs here listening to this podcast, we all know this very well. But the data out there is 80% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years. And that's a business starting from scratch. And as we all know, especially in EO, starting a business from scratch is not for the faint of heart. And 80% end in failure. And Kalika, it's not because we're not passionate. We don't have fantastic ideas. Many of us have multiple MBAs and degrees. Some of us don't, like myself. But that's not a measure of if a business is going to do well or not. I say it's a death by a million paper cuts. It's all of those back end redundancies. It's starting a business and, oh my gosh, I need social media. And you go down a rabbit hole of social media. Oh my gosh, I forgot to get insurance. I need to get insurance. Oh, how am I going to start a training manual? Oh, right. And if I'm teaching kids how to cook, I better have some recipes. It's just all of these things that are overwhelming. And to start something from scratch is hard. So, what I love about the franchise model is that statistic that I just said, 80% of 80% of businesses started from scratch fail after 5 years. The franchise model reverses that on its head. 80% of franchisees are thriving after 5 years. And again, these are I call our franchise owners unicorns because they are a very particular type of entrepreneur. They are entrepreneurs who want to be in control of their own destiny. They want to have something for themselves that they're in control of. They want to be either their own boss. They want to they want to take charge of their lives. Our franchise owners also want to make an impact in their community. And these entrepreneurs love being part of a team. They love having systems. They love that every spreadsheet is created for them and they just have to fill it in. They love that we have social media content that is pushed out for them. They love that we have monthly roundtables and peer groups, and we have everything baked into our model, and they get to stand on our shoulders after we have made all of the mistakes and we have tried everything, and they get to stand on our shoulders of what we built for the last 14 years. And they're more successful than we ever were because of that, because they're using these systems that we have fleshed out for all of these years. So yeah, franchisees are a special group of people, and I'm just so happy that so many people want to bring Sticky Fingers Cooking to their community.
Have you read Mark Siebert's book, Franchise Your Business?
I have.
Yeah, such a good book, right? I know Mark. Yeah.
Oh, you do? Oh
Yeah,
my,
yeah.
yes. Yeah, that's a wonderful one. There's some great franchise books out there. I was like going back to EO. There's not a lot of franchisors in EO, and so I call myself a food geek in chief and the CEO of Sticky Fingers Cooking, but I'm also a super franchise geek. So anytime anyone wants to talk franchising, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, I think one of the first members that I met was Drew Boyles, and he had 1-800-JUNK. So he had a part of the franchise. Yeah. He was also president. Now he's like mayor of like El Segundo. And so like, yeah, that is a great franchise as well.
That's a wonderful story. I love his story.
So a lot of your franchisees are women. Why do you think Sticky Fingers is perfect for a female entrepreneur?
Honestly, because I started Sticky Fingers Cooking out of need and necessity. I had mentioned that I was managing a wine importing business, that it was wonderful. And part of my job was being like chained to a desk. Like they wanted me at the desk. It didn't matter. And this is Italian, you're on Italian time. So it was a 9 to 5 job. And I was expected to be at my desk 9 to 5. I never understood that. I never quite understood that. So I didn't have the flexibility from working from home. We ended up having 3 children. My husband is running restaurants at night, and it didn't make sense for me to go into work anymore. But I also needed and wanted to provide for my family. I'm a mom. I've been a mom for 24 years, and I stayed at home with the kids. I've worked. I've now started my own business, and I'm somebody that needs more. I'm somebody that needs something for myself. I need a creative outlet. I want to feel purposeful. I want to be all of it. I want both. And so I started Sticky Fingers from my kitchen table, knowing that I didn't want to leave my kitchen table if I didn't have to. I wanted to be able to take my kids to doctor's appointments. I wanted to be able to go to that talent show and not ask anybody about it. I wanted to have the flexibility that I wanted. So I created a business that I wanted to work in that fit into my lifestyle. And therefore, everybody that has worked with Sticky Fingers Cooking has enjoyed that as well. So we do not have set office hours. People work from home. Our franchise owners, we teach the same model. So they're running their highly successful businesses from their kitchen tables because all you need is a phone and a computer.
You know what was really fascinating when I found out when I was reading the book that there's a lot of successful food franchise. Auntie Anne's, isn't Mrs. Fields one? Like many, but there's so many franchises that are not food related, like accounting companies. And so, what would you say to an EOer who has a service type of business and is interested in franchising? What type of tips would you give to them?
Yeah, I said that COVID is really when we started looking at franchising. The full story is that I started looking at franchising about 8 years ago. I was introduced through EO. I was introduced to a wonderful woman named Carrie Dorr who started a brand that you may have heard of. It's called Pure Barre, the exercise studio. And Carrie became my mentor. She became my friend, and she's the best kind of mentor possible. She openly and freely told me all of her mistakes. She told me all of the pitfalls, all of the things that she did that she wished that she did differently, and how, I mean, she was just so open and transparent as honestly I find many, many female leaders to be. And at the time, it really scared me. And really what I did is I looked in the mirror and I looked in the mirror and I went, wait a second. Okay, we might be in 3 different states as Sticky Fingers Cooking as a privately held company, but things are a little different in each city. It's not, our systems aren't quite there. So I realized that what was scary about franchising was that we weren't ready. So my full piece of advice for anybody looking into franchising is to look in the mirror. First of all, do you have a business that people want? Have you ever tried to scale it outside of where your business is, whether it's in your home city? Have you tried it in a neighboring city or town? Have you tried it in a different state? If the answer is yes, you probably have some great systems in place, and really making sure that there's no room for error whatsoever, that you have everything documented. Because imagine giving your business model to a franchise owner and say, here, I want you to run it. You have to think of absolutely everything. You have to think of what you want people to wear, how you want the children to be greeted. If you have a brick and mortar, what is the paint color that's on the wall behind the cash register? So, and you don't need to have that all in place to begin franchising, but you need to have that mindset. It's also one of the second biggest thing I would say is that it is really important to know that when you start a franchise brand, it is a brand new business. It is a startup. It is a brand new business. So yes, I have Sticky Fingers Cooking, which is a children's cooking school. We still operate and own our territory here in Denver and Boulder, Colorado. And then we have the franchise brand. That is an entirely different business. And it is nearly impossible to think that you could also do this offshoot of also having a franchise brand. You have to be pretty full into franchising and not just do it on the side to be successful.
So I know Sadie Lincoln, who did Bar 3, the franchise. I think she was an EO and she was actually on the podcast. So it's so great that we have these women who are also interested in helping other women with franchising. That's so admirable.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. I mean, yes, I am so great. So grateful to Carrie Dorr. And I look up to so many female franchisors that have been out there that have just built amazing brands. And because I know it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of heart and soul and dedication and grit and focus to do it. But it is one of the most rewarding things I've ever done, second to teaching kids how to cook.
Aw. Have you always been a natural teacher?
Actually, that, oh my gosh, that's so funny. I'm so glad you asked me that question. I am I am a very insecure teacher. I am a very insecure teacher. I don't have a teaching background. So I developed the curriculum based on me being very insecure about teaching. So we have this incredibly robust curriculum that goes with each one of our recipes. I mentioned earlier it's over 3,000. So we have a huge depth of curriculum where we we teach kids about, we have a surprise ingredient. So it might be tomatoes, it might be quinoa, it might be eggs, whatever it might be, that we're really leaning into this one ingredient, and the kids learn about the ingredient as they're cooking. I grew up traveling the world, and so I know that you can learn cultures, you can learn geography, you can learn all about our beautiful world through food. So 90% of our recipes are based in global cuisine. So we teach our kids, what is it like to be a kid in Korea? What is it like to be a kid in India? What is it like to be a kid in Argentina? So we then talk about the place of origin where the recipe is from. And then we go even deeper and we really get into food history, because every recipe has a story, and it's typically related to world history as well. And it is just fascinating. And this is where I get super geeky about it. And then, of course, we throw in some really bad jokes as well. So so my weakness became my biggest strength, and that's how we have this really robust lesson plans and curriculum that's multifaceted. We're able to teach kids as young as 4 and all the way up to 18 with an amazing content, because I didn't want to run out of things to say, and I was terrified if a child asked me a question, I wouldn't have the answer. So we provide that to all of our chef instructors and all of our franchise owners.
But you know what's wonderful about that is that, what if you did go to culinary school? You would have taught in a totally different way. But because you sort of came in curious and full of wonder, like you brought in all these aspects, history, and like you said, the original STEM class probably, or you're talking about measurements and math and things like that. And it's probably so much more fresher than if someone who was in the I don't a culinary mode, right?
That's such an interesting perspective. I've never had anyone say that to me. And I think you're right. I have said more than a few times that good thing I didn't get my MBA, because I don't know all the rules that I've broken in
Exactly.
getting this. So I think that might be, I think you're onto something there.
Yeah, so one of my friends is Jane Orwind, who's the founder of Dermalogica, and she also didn't get her MBA. And when she's speaking at UCLA MBA school, she sometimes says that the MBA sometimes holds you back because you feel like you have these constraints.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
So you were talking earlier about your husband, Ryan, right? You also co-own Barolo Grill, is that right?
I do. Yes. Yes. So
Yeah.
we own a spectacular restaurant here in Denver with an amazing story behind it. So my husband started working there when he was 19 years old. I walked in there in 1996 for a glass of wine. He was turning 21. I was 23. 2 weeks later, we had the same bank account. I mean, it was just like that was it. We ended up traveling Europe together with backpacks for nearly a year. And then I begged the owner of Barolo Grill for a job. I love the hospitality industry. I've always worked in restaurants. I absolutely love it. And so I worked at Barolo Grill for 3 years. We moved to San Francisco for a while. We opened up other businesses. We found ourselves back in Denver in the early 2000s, and my husband went back to Barolo Grill as the general manager. He was getting his master sommelier accreditation, which is anybody knows it's a very heavy lift. It was a 10-year process. And then during that time, the owner of Barolo Grill, the founder, he asked us if we wanted to buy the restaurant. So this restaurant is a part of who we are. It's a part of, we met there. I was pregnant waiting tables there with our first child. It's an amazing place. And it's very unusual for a restaurant to be in business for 32 years. So it's in business for 32 years. We're only open for 5 dinners a week. So no lunches. It's the same staff. The tenure of staff is 15 years. People do not leave. It is a career. And before we started taping, Kalika, I was telling you that my husband just landed in Italy. He is on the 30th annual Barolo Grill staff trip to Italy. We closed the restaurant for 2 weeks, the 1st of July, and the staff goes to Italy. Whoever would like to go, typically it's about half of the staff, and they go on a food and wine tour. And it's something that you could not possibly pay for. My husband has had 30 years plus relationship building with winemakers, with chefs, with food producers. And it's absolutely incredible. So since Ryan and I have bought Barolo Grill, and since it's been under his leadership, we have won the Wine Spectator Grand Award, which is granted to just about 90 restaurants in the last 40 years worldwide. We're Michelin recommended. So I'm very, very proud of continuing the legacy of this very special restaurant.
So it's a fine dining restaurant. How has that influenced what you do for Sticky Fingers?
It's influenced everything. I mean, I may not have had an MBA, or may not even have a college degree, which is true. But the School of Hard Knocks, the School of Hospitality, is second to none. I mean, I think everybody should work in a restaurant. And yeah, so hospitality is baked into everything that I do. It's baked into everything that Ryan does. So we're also a hospitality company here at Sticky Fingers Cooking, based on positive relationships, positive communication. I think that you can weather any storm with a positive outlook, with lots of communication and lots of collaboration and cooperation. And that's what the restaurant industry teaches you.
What have you learned about working with your spouse? Any advice for couples who are building businesses together?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not for everybody. I was recently asked this question through my EO forum, actually, because it can go either way. First of all, I am blessed with about 29 years, 30 years with the most amazing partner I can imagine. I love my husband so much. He's the yin to my yang. And that, again, having that open communication. The thing is that we each have our own businesses. So we own businesses together, but we each have our own focus. I think that that's really important. I also think it's really important that I worked at his restaurant. I know all the table numbers. I know all the staff. I know the ins and outs of the restaurant. Yes, I consult from the back sidelines these days, but knowing his business so well it gives me empathy. It gives me understanding. Late nights are understandable because he is putting out fires, doing different things that he needs to do. And then he also sees what I do. And he was integral in helping me start Sticky Fingers Cooking. He was our first accountant. I called him a bean counter because I had to go with food. So he understands my business as well. And we both trust each other so much to run and lead our own businesses. So we're each other's champion. I can see that it could be overwhelming. And sometimes we are. I think we are a lot. I'm wondering if our children need a lot of therapy because we do. We're always talking about our businesses, but and knowing this and setting time aside to do the things that we love. We love to travel. We live to travel. And so I'm going to be meeting my husband with our daughters in Greece in just 2 weeks. So we love to travel. Sitting around the dinner table is very important to our family. So we'll light a candle, we'll debrief on the day. My husband and I often find ourselves in the hot tub, kind of talking about our day. We make sure that we talk about things other than business as well. So I think if you're just intentional about it.
So you have these little rituals, you have these little guardrails so that it continues to be fun and interesting and balanced.
Yes. Yeah. And balance is such a tricky word. I struggle with the word balance. First of all, one of the things that you say rituals, yoga to me it's a non-negotiable. I go to yoga just about every day, and it's very, very important to me. And I always laugh because I'm actually fantastic at balancing. And when you're balancing in yoga, I mean, it also, you can just relate it to everything in life. But I struggle with the word balance because it's almost like something that you can obtain, like nirvana, and you catch it and you have it forever. And it couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, if you're balancing on one foot and you're actually looking at your foot, it's oscillating back and forth so fast. You're not balancing. Balancing is something that is a practice. I almost like harmony, like when things are in harmony. I almost like that word a little bit better because some days everything, as we know, things just kind of fall apart. But if you can kind of get back into harmony, get back a little bit into balance, then everything feels right.
That's so beautiful. It's sort of similar to those guardrails that planes have. Like if it just goes to it doesn't go in a straight line, but it stays within right. And you eventually get to
You
Denver.
eventually get there.
You eventually get to Greece.
Yeah, giving yourself lots of grace, lots of leeway. Yes.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So you've been in the food world for nearly, what, 30 years,
Yeah.
and you still seem so excited about it. What keeps that spark alive for you?
I just love food. I mentioned I traveled the world when I was young. I really realized that food is the universal connector for humans. It's a necessity, but it's also a way for us to celebrate. It's enjoyment. We mourn with food. We have traditions through food. And I absolutely love everything that food represents to humans. I always tell people when people like, I want to find my thing. I want to find the thing that I'm good at. And I always say, what do you look at? What do you read? What do you watch when you can do anything with your day? What do you do on the weekends? For my husband, it's wine. He looks at wine. He's always reading about wine. He's always reading about restaurants. And so it's like a perfect companion, of course, that he would run a restaurant. For me, I read cookbooks like they're novels. So I have a ridiculous amount of cookbooks. I love reading cookbooks. I am watching documentaries on food. I mean, it's just my passion, and it's just this never ending well. I guess it's almost like asking a painter, do you ever feel like you're going to run out of things to paint? And the answer is probably no. So it's that same thing. And again, that passion fuels my drive, which in turn gives me grit to continue to go.
Well, I think it's perfect because, I mean, I remember when they were starting like the Food Network and people were like, will people really watch shows about people cooking? And yes, they will. Decades later,
Yeah.
you probably subscribe to what America's Taste Kitchen, New York Times, Bon
Yes.
Appetit. You
Keep going.
watch The Bear.
Yes, all the way. I want actually the bear is a little that is so well done. It's a little close to home. But yes, my husband is not ready to watch the bear. I've watched the bear and it's very, very good and it's very accurate in so many ways.
So good.
But yeah, I mean the Food Network. I actually credit the Food Network to I didn't really cook. I've always loved eating, but I never really cooked myself until I became a mom. And so we were in San Francisco. Our daughter was 3 months old. She fell asleep under my arms. One of those things where you're just like, oh, she's so fussy, I can't move. And Jamie Oliver came on. He was the naked chef. The Food Network at the time was only on for like 2 or 3 hours a day because, yeah, again, they weren't sure if this was going to go or not. This is in 2001. And Jamie Oliver starts talking about that he's going to make this mussel dish from Saint Tropez at this restaurant named Joseph's. And I could not believe it because literally a year prior to that, my husband and I were in Saint Tropez for a month. We dined at this restaurant called Joseph's. We had these mussels that were transformative, life changing. We couldn't figure out what was in it, why it was so delicious. we could not stop talking about it. And this was in 2001. We couldn't Google it. I had no idea how to find this recipe. And here's Jamie Oliver. I also happened to come home from Saint-Tropez the year prior with our greatest souvenir, which was I became pregnant with our daughter. So I'm sitting there and here's Jamie Oliver. And I'm rocking her and I'm thinking, if you don't do anything in your life, Erin, you have to memorize this. There is no pen and paper. There is no iPhone that I could hit record.
No QR code.
No QR code. I couldn't remind it. So, I mean, this is like olden days. And so I'm just like, I have to listen to this young man tell me how to make these mussels. And I memorized it. I've never written it down. And I surprised my husband the next day with the mussels and he cried. And I've been making the mussels ever since and I have never written it down. So thank you, Jamie Oliver. Thank you, Food Network. And at that moment, I realized I love to cook. It is such a creative outlet. I felt fearless in the kitchen and that hasn't left me.
Wow. Now you have to get Sticky Fingers cooking for adults. I want to learn how to make those mussels.
I'll make them. Come out. I'll make them.
Amazing. You know what's interesting about Sticky Fingers is that you're also a tech-powered company. You're saying that you love data and your I guess your tech operations handles your tech handles 80% of your operations. Is that true? Yeah. Is that right?
Absolutely true. So people are just blown away by it. They just don't. Yes, we are a tech-driven company. We started our tech company 13 years ago, a year after starting Sticky Fingers Cooking. And we started so humbly. I mean, just again, it just shows you how far we've come with technology. I started Sticky Fingers Cooking in 2011 and people were emailing registrations. My father and I were staying up till 2 a.m. with Excel spreadsheets. There wasn't a white labeled software out there that would take registration, collect payment, and have a blank field for parents to write if their child had an allergy or anything else that we needed to know about. Is that mind-blowing? It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a white labeled software product out there in 2011. So by the time 2012 rolled around, we were like, we cannot do this anymore. We need to grow and we need help. So it became, I mean, the most humble situation possible. One of our chef instructors said, oh, my husband's brother's sister's boyfriend's college roommate can code. And he did exactly that and did a very simple registration system for us that quickly turned into, hold on a second, going back to all the back end redundancies, the death by a million paper cuts, all the things that I really disliked about running a business, the day-to-day mundane operations. It kind of just grew from there. So we haven't stopped. So what's really interesting, we call our Sticky Fingers Cooking technology platform. It's totally proprietary to us. We call it the Dash, and it's a salt shaker is our logo. Dash, because it's the dashboard, but a dash of salt. Always have to pull in the food puns. But now 13 years later, it runs over 80% of the day-to-day operations. It's a platform for everything. It holds our IP, its registrations, it's a CRM, it's financial reporting. It does automatic time sheets for all of our hundreds and hundreds of chef instructors. It is unbelievably remarkable. And it is the heartbeat of what we do. It also has enabled us to launch and grow our franchise brand successfully because you cannot operate a Sticky Fingers Cooking territory without the Dash, and it automates every system.
And decisions become easier because, like you said, you see the data.
Yeah. And so what's really interesting, like kind of going back to that first question you asked me about starting Sticky Fingers Cooking from my kitchen table with $5,000. We started the Dash in a very similar way. Would Sticky Fingers Cooking be the same if we had angel investors and we created a technology platform of what we thought Sticky Fingers Cooking would be? I think about it a lot, and I'm 99% sure that the answer would be no, because we have built a technology company in a very slow, methodical, intentional way as we have grown. So we don't have, there is nothing that our that the Sticky Fingers Cooking Dash doesn't do for us. There's that is not useful, because technology is the ultimate tool and tools need to be useful. So we don't have anything in the Dash that is not used in a very specific, intentional way. And I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, you haven't cobbled together random systems, right, to force it, and because it's custom to you.
Custom. And it's always evolving. It's always evolving. One of our core values is innovation. And so we always know that we can be stronger, better, faster, all of it. And so we're nothing is stagnant. So the Dash is always evolving. And it's really fun to be able to make it now specifically for our franchise owners. So we're in the process of our third iteration of the Dash, hoping to launch very, very soon. And we're very excited about that.
And it's going to include AI.
Yes, it is.
Knew it. So for entrepreneurs who are intimidated by tech, what would you say to them? Where's a good place to start?
Well, you can give me a call, because as I mentioned, I don't have an MBA, I don't have a college degree. I also don't have a technical background. So you do not need to have a technical background to start a tech company. You do need to have an intention and a clear vision of what you need the technology to do for you and for your business. And just like I don't write my own franchise disclosure document, my own FDD, my secret sauce to business is working with people smarter than I am, and experts. So I have always worked with amazing developers. For the last two iterations of the Dash, we worked with individual, amazing, creative developers, software developers. Now we're working with 2 teams here in Denver, female-led teams, big businesses. And so there's so many resources out there, and that should never stop you. It should never stop you from fulfilling a dream. And if you have an idea, it's probably a really good idea, and partner with somebody that can build it for you.
Yeah, I think that that's the biggest downfall for entrepreneurs not asking for the right type of help.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I say that in order to grow, you have to let go. You can't do anything on your own. When you start a business, of course, did I wear all the hats? Absolutely. 100% for years. And you cannot grow until you let go. You have to be able to trust your team. You also have to be able to trust that not your ideas aren't always the best ideas, especially if that's not in your expertise. I have really done a lot of self-reflection, and it was very easy for me to come to the conclusion that the things that I don't like doing in business are also the things that I'm pretty terrible at. So delegating the tasks that I am not great at. I mean, if we waited for me to be able to code our own software, we would still be waiting, and Sticky Fingers would just be a pipe dream.
Yeah, I always tell entrepreneurs I coach, lowest cost is never lowest overall cost, because sometimes you want to try to do your own website. You will eat it. You'll pay for it some way, somehow.
No, you will. You will. Yeah, working with and building a team of experts and people that play to your weakness. There's nothing else like it. It's beautiful. Again, it goes back to that word harmonious. Everything like ends up to be in harmony, and you can really grow and create great things together.
In EO, we talk a lot about growth and reflection. What's something that you've had to unlearn as your business has scaled?
I think exactly what we were just talking about. Exactly what we're just talking about. I had to unlearn that I have to be kind of the one that has to do it all, that I have to be the expert in everything, that I have to be the last say in everything, the thing that everything has to go through me. Letting go, being able to delegate. I think delegation is a superpower. I think that a lot of business owners, especially when you start your own business, I don't think that anybody realizes that not only is it a skill that that you should develop, but you must develop because you will hold yourself back at some point in your business. It is going to be your superpower in that first phase, maybe even that the first 3 phases of growth in your business, that you have to be that person. You have to be that energy. You have to do everything. But then at some point, it's going to hold you back and you need to step out of your own way. And so that is something that I have had to unlearn. And I'm always reminding myself to delegate. I have a little sticky note on my computer that says exactly what I just said is, in order to grow, you have to let go.
Mm.
That's with parenting too, right?
Right. You got to let go. How old are your kids?
So I have 3 daughters. Our oldest is 24. We have an 18-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old daughter.
Oh, you're such a great example for them. So what's next for Sticky Fingers? Any exciting plans, new programs, growth?
Yeah, we did so much during COVID. We wrote 5 and published 5 cookbooks. We launched our franchise brand. We have done so much work in the last 5 years that we are focusing on creating new business owners across the US. And that is our focus. Of course, maintaining the high quality and high standards of children's cooking school as a children's cooking school and making sure that our programming is top notch. Those are our 2 focuses right now and will be for here on out. Really how to one of my passions, in addition to teaching kids how to cook, is to really help foster new business leaders. So I absolutely love it. I do monthly roundtables with all of our franchise owners, talking about the soft skills of business leadership, how to be an effective leader. And that is something that just fills my cup. I absolutely love it. And I just get the most immense joy to see our franchise owners become so successful. So that is really our focus. It's pretty simple. Our business model is very simple and our focus is really simple. We teach kids how to cook and we're creating new business leaders in the US.
Amazing. Erin, thank you so much for sharing your story today. I love how you've built something that not only teaches kids valuable life skills, but you're also creating real opportunities for women entrepreneurs. You're really the living proof that you don't need millions. You just need $5,000 and a strong why, and also the courage to take that first step. And to everyone who's listening, if Erin's story inspired you, check out stickyfingerscooking.com or stickyfingerscookingfranchise.com. We'll have all the links in the show notes. And if you've enjoyed this episode, go ahead and hit that follow button, share it with someone who needs to hear it or someone who needs a franchise. And as always, keep on wondering. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You are such an inspiration to me and you're such an amazing business leader. So thank you, Kalika. I'm honored.
I hope that I see you in Denver, maybe at like Alchemy or something. We can see each other.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I'll have to I'll make the mussels for you in the backyard, or we go to dinner at Barolo Grill, or we do both.
Oh my gosh.
I would
amazing. Thank you so much. You're the best.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.